Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Yeah. Hey, Sox fans. Welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. Hey, it's episode 305. I am Nick Murawski, and this is a fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast. We do this just about every week. Took a break last week for the holiday. We're back now live on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Subscribe to that, like it, do all those fun things, and pass it along to Sox fans. If you have any other Sox fans in your life, pass it along to them. I appreciate it. The audio available absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. What a team to talk about. Wow, we have so many great things to discuss. The Sox, I think, have won 3 whole games since the last time we talked 2 weeks ago. So it was so much to get to. With me, as always, my best friend, diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Nick, pleasure to be back on the airways with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think what we talk about the 5 or 10 minutes before we jump on the air is maybe more exciting than this team.
Yeah.
We were talking about potty training and birthday cakes. So
we were.
It's
sure
that
were.
we could fill up 55 minutes with that. It was it'd be fantastic.
Yes.
I have some fun things that I consumed on the White Sox on the radio, which tickled me, which I can't wait to get to at some point today, just because they made me smile. Some more DJ shenanigans.
Oh, love that.
3 whole wins since we last talked. I've come to the realization that, and somebody tweeted it afterwards, I've come to the realization that Andrew Vaughn is a waste of space. I mean, again, I have not subscribed to the app. I'm basically consuming this team when I'm in my car. I actually was listening a little bit at home today. I was outside on a beautiful day, had it on my phone, listening to the last excruciating couple of innings. And I'm looking for small little opportunities to have some joy. I'm driving out to Sam's Club today. I'm listening on the radio. I'm fist pumping after strikeouts, and I'm kind of excited, just because I want to enjoy a beautiful Sunday. And Andrew Vaughn, because he comes up in a situation where the last thing you want to do is hit it to the left side and be put in a situation where you have one of the slowest human beings on earth roll up into a double play when that all-important second run in extra innings is out there for you, with a team that has not only been god awful for the last couple of years, but even maybe worse in extra inning situations. So that's my very heavy look upon just today, and a microcosm of the season, which drives me nuts, but has led me to believe I have zero faith in Andrew Vaughn ever being anything. And I can't wait to not have him on this team at some point.
I feel like we've said that about a lot of players, unfortunately, that we had high hopes for. I cannot wait for this contract to be over. I cannot wait for this person to be off the team. I know we were saying it about Yasmani Grandal at one. We've said it about a lot of players, and I've got a kind of a segment I want to get to about prospects forcing the organization's hand. I mean, we'll get into some Tim Elko stuff. He's kind of the latest, but yeah, I'm with you on Vaughn. I absolutely am. It's a sad situation. It's a sad situation when you really, we've gone over the lists. If you're listening, you have gone over the lists. First round pick after other high prospect or blue chip and it's just been, it's sad when it's over, but you just want it to be over now. Let's just move on. Let's move on, because I don't think there is much value in Andrew Vaughn taking us to wherever we are going, whatever that is. It is. It's a tough watch, and it's a tough listen. It's not surprising, but it's in that, well, what are we watching for? Which, maybe we can discuss a little bit, and some folks that are tuning in, I'd love to hear your input. But a lot of people to welcome in. It's so great to have Luke and Sydney, John, Joshua, Mailman Jack. Love it. Hey, a belated happy birthday, I believe, to John, a loyal listener, been with us for a long, long time. Happy belated, John.
Happy birthday.
You following us for so long. It's been great. Sox are 7-21. Okay. That's not, we kind of knew that. Minus 25 run diff. Again, not the worst in all of baseball, that minus 25 run diff. There's some surprising teams out there that have worse run differential. But Sox are indeed last in the ever forgiving AL Central, 11 games back. We're at double digits now. Sox have the second worst record in all of baseball. Those Colorado Rockies, man, we got it bad. They're sitting at 4-23. So,
that was the one thing that, speaking of things that tickled me during listening this past, it wasn't. I was listening a little bit on Saturday, and again, I'm just in and out when I can. I'm listening to the game. And Len had mentioned the Rockies and their struggles and what they're going through, and had mentioned, I think, they had 4 wins as of yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And and then they brought up last year's White Sox team that I think started 3-22, if I remember correctly, and them remarking about how unfortunate of a start it has been for the Rockies and this and that. And I thought, this baseball team has 7 wins. What is really the difference between 4 wins? And I know it's 3 games, but what is really the difference between the White Sox and the Rockies? There isn't one. You can't be saying, "Wow, look how awful the poor Rockies are." We're right there with them. We're the same thing. You put up it's the Spider-Man meme, right?
Yeah, it's true.
You're just pointing at each other. It is what it is. But that was one thing. It took me back for a second. I thought, well, Len, this team has 7 wins, right? I know they're up 10-1 today as you're broadcasting this game, but my goodness gracious, they're the same. They're one and the same, really. So, boy,
that is true. That is true. And you think about, well, what's the direction? And John asked in the chat here. We don't talk we don't really talk about much else than the Bears. Sometimes some 1980s WWF will sneak in, but we'll talk a little bit of Bears during the fall, sure. But John asked in the chat, well, what did you think, Pat, of the Bears draft? Like, there's a team, there's an organization here in the city that looks to have a future, right? You can kind of see the direction that they're going, and there's excitement, of course. There always is with the Chicago Bears in this city. It is a Bears town, always will be. And you look at our White Sox, and you can kind of look, of course, at the prospects and see some of these arms, but it starts to get really tiresome.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going? What is the plan here? Are we just hoping again for young guys? What is happening?
Well, you could draw a lot of similar parallels between the organizations. We've talked about it for many, many years between the two of them, of kind of this mom and pop, and it really is on the Bears side in terms of the family owning the team for as long as they have since its inception. So it's very mom and pop there. The White Sox run their organization, as we know, like it's 1990, and things haven't really changed. But I'd say the difference now between the two organizations is, it seems like, it doesn't mean anything will change in terms of sustained success. It still has to happen on the field. But what has changed with the Bears, just from my perspective and outside looking in, is it seems like there's been a change in direction in terms of putting better foundations in place in order to have team success. Seemingly, having people that are advanced scouts or have stepped up, and more people in roles where good organizations have the numbers of people and doing things. And the White Sox, this won't change for the White Sox until, and we know it, until they've decided that we're going to try and operate like a 2025 team and not a 1995 team. And until that happens, it's not going to change. And in terms of my thoughts on the draft, honestly, I haven't really consumed much on the NFL draft. The draft isn't really, as a Bears fan, isn't really my thing. I don't really watch enough college football like with a keen eye to say whether this person's going to be great or not. I like college football, but I don't watch it for the players per se. I watch it for the teams and the pageantry, and it's because it's football, but not because I know each player. I was a little confused, I guess you would say, as I was looking for more offensive lineman help and maybe some more defensive lineman help. And the first two picks are a wide receiver and a tight end. That confuses me as a simpleton, but we'll see. What do I know about, drafting football players? Zero. So we'll see.
Just a simple caveman lawyer.
You know what? One of the most underrated Phil Hartman characters was the caveman lawyer.
Caveman lawyer. Oh, great. Anal retentive chef.
Wonderful.
Where he had to just package up all of his refuse multiple times before he threw it away. And boy, that was a great sketch. But in the NFL and with the Bears again, and I am nowhere near is tied into the Bears as I am with the Sox. But in the NFL, it's like you build around your stud quarterback. Like that's the thing that makes the team go. And when you have that, it's like, okay, now we start building around. Who's going to protect Caleb? Who's he going to throw to? Sure, you could win with defense, but we all know it's the quarterback. You've got to have that arm. You've got to have that franchise quarterback. And in baseball, it's like, what is that? Is that your ace? Is it your ace that you try to build around and flesh out the starting rotation? Is it your powerhouse? Is it someone like Frank Thomas years ago, where it's like, well, how are you going to pad that lineup? How are you going to protect Frank Thomas? So he can do what he can do, which is pure damage.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know if the Sox know. I thought they had somebody like that in Crochet. Of course, they weren't going to pay that kind of money, and they decided to do what they did. Who's that going to be? How does that work in baseball? I mean, some teams have, I guess it's different for every team. Obviously, with a team like the Sox that don't spend any money, you're just hoping for, hitting on some trades and your development, which has been piss poor. But
maybe with this team, Nick, maybe it's because there is some prospect, opportunity with the catching position. Maybe that's what you build around. You think about, you're probably your captains on the field, if you will. The position that becomes, most likely to become a manager down the line is your catcher. So I'd love to think that you could build around your catchers to, and that's an extension of your battery and everything that goes into your pitchers. Great catchers can really maybe bring along and mold your pitching staff, which, would be nice, but I don't know if that's the way to go. I don't think there is one way to go with baseball. It's a little bit more complicated.
It is. It is. And we are going to talk Edgar Carroll, because that is, if you're looking for some bright spots, I have found that to be an absolute bright spot lately. So the Sox have played 28 games, and here we are, in this 20th anniversary of the 05 team, which I think, you and I have talked quite a bit about the 05 team during the life of this podcast. And I have no problem talking about the 05 team, especially this year with the way this current team is going in 2025. And, the historic references of 125 and also the 20th anniversary. But so the Sox currently, after 28 games, are 7-21. The 05 White Sox, after 28 games, were 21-7. And it just felt like, how about it? Every time you turned that TV on, if you missed maybe the first couple innings, you knew the Sox were going to be up. They were going to be up 1-0, 2-0. They would score in the first inning or the second inning regularly. Podsednik would get on, Iguchi would hit him over, and then it just was like clockwork, and they're on the board. And I think they even had some kind of crazy record with the amount of games or innings that they led in. I don't know. I sometimes I'll check in on like, well, where were the 05 Sox at? Where were they at this point? And especially in a year like this year, it's just, man, why do we talk about it? Because it happened. And hey, there hasn't been much at all to celebrate. And I don't care that I'm living in the past a little bit. That was real. That existed. And of any year, this is a good year to kind of look back every now and then.
Well, and speaking of that team, and I don't remember how many one-run games that they won, but you juxtapose it with what's going on now. And Howard put it in our chat earlier. They're 1-8 and one-run games this year.
That's not surprising.
They find ways to, they're in games. That's the thing, is they are in a lot of games. There's not many games where they're just getting their doors blown off, I don't think. But it's just they don't have, first of all, they don't have the offensive firepower to outside of Saturday and the once in a while times when they're scoring 5+ runs, they're going to lose a lot of those games. They just are. And you think about, again, that 2005 team, they just found ways to, first of all, their pitching was outstanding and they had just enough offense and they got on a roll. They were on, roller skates rolling down an icy hill. It was a fun thing to be a part of for a long time.
It seemed like everybody just knew their role. We talk a lot about the crock pot lineup, the set it and forget it lineups that I think you dream about. You get into that groove. Everybody kind of figures out their role. There were injuries with the 05 team. They had Frank Thomas went down. They had obviously 3 different closers. They had to deal with some stuff, but people filled in and people just got to know their roles so well. They just knew it. I'm coming to the ballpark. I know where I'm hitting in the lineup. I know what I have to do in given situations. And you talk about this current team offensively, Pat. They blew it on Friday. They had it. I mean, it was a late game on Friday, and I'm watching, and they were up early, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And they blew it late and walk off on Sunday here to end their time in Sacramento. So where do they rank? Where does this 2025 team rank offensively? In scoring runs, they're 26th in all of baseball. Which is, again, no surprise if you've been following along. Got to score runs to win games, and the Sox have not been doing that. Slugging, they're dead last in all of baseball, 30th in slugging. In batting average, they're 30th. In on-base percentage, they're 28th. In hitting home runs, they're 25th in all of baseball. And with runners in scoring position, which is what we've been ripping our hair out for many, many years as Sox fans, Sox are hitting 179 with runners in scoring position. That is dead last, 30th in all of baseball.
179 is actually higher than I would have guessed. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, you've got guys that are batting under 150 in this lineup. So,
that's true.
What'd you say? 179?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you could have given me 3 guesses. I wouldn't have probably guessed anything higher than 160.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, they're scuffling. They absolutely
are. A little bit of a slump, you would say.
And there's just like, where's the, we'll talk Tim Elko in a moment here, and maybe that could be, maybe that's some help if he can, transition to big league pitching. That's the big if when it comes to White Sox hitters. There's just no help in sight. Robert Jr., he went off and he had a long ball this past weekend, and not enough in my mind at all to say that, he's locked in or he's in a groove. Maybe he's got to, wait till June or July, but some injuries that the Sox are dealing with too, especially with a starting pitching. Martin Perez, again, not a ton of games under his belt. It's still early in the year, but I like what I saw about Perez, and I think he might have been on the 60-day IL. Like, he is, I don't know when we're going to expect to see Martin Perez. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's seems to be a common thing that happens with players in this team. You might as well just book yourself some time on the IL at some point. You talk about Luis Robert, home run. He had a big knock today to drive in the go-ahead run in the top of the 10th inning. They had talked again, something they'd been throwing on the radio, I think it was Saturday, was, Robert, he's getting his walks, but maybe he's now become too patient. You had a guy that was, swinging out of his shoes at things. And if you threw him a slider low and away, you can just pretty much, tell him to go sit down. But now he seems like he's lost a little bit of his aggressiveness. So it's interesting. It's like you take a guy that when he's at his best, he's an aggressive, somewhat free swinger. And you say, you need to find a way to be a little bit more patient. And I get always trying to mold yourself as a player and trying to become better and taking feedback and be more well-rounded. But at some point, you just look at players and go, you know what, you are what you are. And what you are at your best is just swinging from your shoes. So I don't know what the right thing is for him. I'd almost rather have him revert back and just start, trying to hit the ball 10 billion feet and try and get as most value as we can for him when we do trade him, because right now it's not tracking like he has a lot of value. And, you and I and everybody else that listens to this needs him to start hitting more. The weather is starting to turn a little bit. It's not like it's 90 degrees and the sun's out every day yet, but it is starting to get warmer. He's got to start warming up and hitting the ball with some, ferocity. And I can care less about what's around him right now. Right now, he needs to be selfish, because that's what's best for us. By him being selfish is actually being selfless for this team.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I look at it as this is a guy that we are not building around. I don't see him he's not going to be around when this team is actually competitive and sniffing the division, whenever that may be. So get hot so we can get something out of you. That's why I want to see him on another team by the trade deadline, and us to get something, if Getz knows what he's doing and he can even, evaluate that, because what they were valuing Robert Jr. at before the season started was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And organizations knew that. And they're like, even if he is healthy, what has he really done? We know the potential, but what has he really done? You got to show me some kind of proof. I can't just go off of, well, you're claiming he's a 5-tool player, 6-tool player. Like, well, I need to see the body of work. There needs to be a track record. And if you're going to ask for 2 number ones or whatever, in God's name, they were, wanting from organizations that were even, in that conversation, whether it be the Dodgers or what have you, that have deep farm systems. Yeah, of course. Robert Jr. has to get going for us as fans to maybe feel good about it, if that makes sense, because what's done is done with him. We talk about Vaughn, and hey, Robert can be fun to watch. Maybe he's the only thing that excites you on this team when you're going to see them or watching them or listening. And it's just another one of those sad situations of what could have been. We had it for a short period of time. I just don't see any future with him on this White Sox team. So, you talk about chasing pitches and discipline, and a guy that also got hurt that we just started to get excited about, Chase Maydroth. He's out, and I saw something on social media. I don't know if it was, if this was a joke. Somebody wrote this up, but I thought I saw a quote from Benintendi talking to like giving Maydroff some advice when he was in the lineup, like hitting at the top of the order, to not see pitches, like get something that you like and immediately like go after it, because you don't want pitchers to have that upper hand. Like once they get a strike on you, and I don't know if it's that mentality of pitchers have such good stuff right now, and it's so difficult to read. And if they get a strike on you, like your numbers, your offensive numbers drastically decrease, right?
Yeah.
So don't even get in a hole. Don't even look at pitches. Just jump on something. And that is kind of a goofy, if that's true, I kind of see where he's coming from, but boy, that defeats the purpose of being at the top of the lineup trying to get on base, which is what Chase Majora's MO was.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get on base and score runs. Now, how does that translate to Robert Jr.? My issue with Robert Jr. is it just doesn't seem like he can track pitches at all that are breaking stuff. He's just flailing at anything that is away off speed in the dirt. Like, he just doesn't seem like he is picking anything up ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is interesting, going to the Benintendi comments, if those were true, because it would kind of go against what we've been hearing about in modern day baseball over the last, let's say, 10 plus years. Really, it's about the good teams are the ones that take pitches and, work pitch counts and all that stuff. So, well, maybe that's why Benintendi is where he is right now. And maybe he's just, the philosophy. I don't know. I could see it both ways, really. You really want starting pitchers to work as much as you can and see as many pitches as you can. And I get all that, but I also get, and again, I'll just say, I feel like I've said a lot tonight, but just another conversation they were having on the radio the other day in terms of, starting pitchers these days are so good, and it's so hard to pick them up, and it's so hard to, the stuff is so, swing so violently, and it's so much velocity. It's really tough, obviously, to hit major league pitching. So I could see why you would think let's just don't let good pitches go by if it's something you can handle. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. Whatever the answer is, though, that the right one is, we're not applying it. But you can see, I mean, the averages, we don't talk batting averages all that much in terms of, the importance of it this day and age in baseball. But the averages in baseball are just putrid for the most part. It's really, it's almost like there's got to be something in terms of a rule change to help offenses even more. They got rid of shifts. They did, they're trying with the pitch clocks, keep things moving and all that stuff. But I just wonder if there's bigger picture things that have to be done in order to get more offense into the game.
They had those torpedo bats. Maybe they need some sort of version of the red bomb bat, the wiffle ball bomb bat, with just a ridiculously large barrel or some sort of like a paddle almost that they need to swing.
Pickleball,
so yeah, it's something that could maybe be workshop. Yeah, I mean, pitchers have amazing stuff, and some are throwing 6-7 different pitches. Jonathan Cannon is one of them, and they could just make hitters look goofy when you're on, and what they can do with a baseball these days. And it's a lot of guesswork, but there's got to be a lot of research that goes in it. We've talked about some of the behind the times that the Sox have been on preparation, on hitter preparation for their opponents, light years behind. And hopefully the Sox are slowly catching up to that. But it also goes back to your point of, like, sometimes you are what you are as a hitter. Speaking of like Robert Jr. But I mean, there's been some good though with this team. You got to look hard to find it if you even want to find it. Shane Smith, which Sydney brought up in the chat. Shane Smith has been fun to watch. I mean, that is a fun story. Rule 5 guy from Milwaukee, and he has been throwing some really great games. Happy for him. I mean, those have been good starts to watch. Edgar Caro is a guy that I've really, he can swing a bat. He's got some pop to his bat. He's got a pretty nice arm. I think he's somebody that, we were, I don't say I was like waiting, like on the edge of my seat, like I can't wait for Edgar Caro to get called up, but we've been hearing about this guy for a little while, and touted prospect, catching prospect. And now he seems like he could kind of fit in right now. He's not like, the game's not too big for him at this point. The lights aren't too bright. And you talk about building around catchers. This is a guy I hope works out for the Sox. And what a year to kind of get your feet wet with their zero expectations. I got a feeling that's good and bad. It's like, okay, I can kind of fly under the radar. The White Sox are flying under the radar. I can get myself situated here, but it's got to take a toll. Like losing takes a toll no matter what the vibe is. Even if we're expected to lose, it still sucks when you're losing over and over and over. But I like what I've seen from him. Here's a quote from the director of hitting, Ryan Fuller, on Caro. What stands out with Q is his ability to believe in himself. He goes up there and he knows he's going to give the team a quality at bat. You see with a lot of young guys coming up here, you're on TV every night and there's a lot more people in the stands. It can speed up. He slows the game down so well, and especially it's not just early in the count, but when there's 2 strikes. That's Ryan Fuller, the White Sox director of hitting. So, I've liked what I've seen so far, and hopefully he just stays healthy so he can really accrue a decent amount of at-bats this year.
Yeah, that would be nice. And that's what we're looking at, is these small little opportunities. You're looking for the forest through the trees type of thing here. Yeah. So those are, and you mentioned my draw. My draw with a thumb, right?
Hand, thumb, something in that.
Those can be tricky. Hopefully that's not going to be a nagging thing for him as we go forward. But those are the individual type of performances that you're really looking for, and kind of wipe away, I guess. Even though, again, like today, as a fan, it upsets me when we get walked off, and it upsets me when we can't execute with runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs, and it really upsets me that we still can't figure out how to win extra inning games. But again, you have to kind of just zero in, get the microscope out, and go, okay, I'm just going to focus on this guy, or this this opportunity for this guy, really, and kind of divorce yourself of really getting too. And I wouldn't guess that you or I are really emotionally invested, I guess, this year. We still care, but I don't think it's to the level as maybe it has been in the past. I would argue that it was more excruciating TLR's last year when they were a 500 team than it is currently. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's an interesting, it's a very fan-centric conversation. I mean, there is no right answer, and I could see where you're coming from with that. We had that, we're trying to repeat the division championship, right? We had unfinished business, and we still had the core, and I felt like it's not like the division made great strides around us, and we just kind of laid back and thought we were going to take this division again. And there was a kind of an apathetic approach. At least it seemed that way to me. And of course, injuries again. And that was really, boy, that was maddening, because we had it, and when you get to the postseason, again, there's been few opportunities in our lifetime where we've had playoff baseball. You want it again, because you see, like, hey, this is what we were promised. Like, all these guys are coming into their own, and this was what we've been hearing about. Multiple division championships, getting deep in the postseason, and to not live up to that, that really ripped you. I go back to 2020, that A's series. That just when I watched that final out, and just that sinking feeling of, I got to wait 6 more months for Sox baseball. Like, it's over. Wait a second. There is no tomorrow. That one hurt so bad. I mean, 2021 did as well. And then, to your point, the 2022 season. But I don't like this type of feeling, though, Pat, of not knowing what the future holds, not knowing what direction, not knowing when they might be competitive, not seeing a path at all. I don't like this at all. This feels very unsettling. 2022 was just, that one was it just gut-wrenching, because you were invested. You really were. This is a different kind of, no, I don't like this. I don't like this as a fan.
I don't like it either. I have zero real feeling, right? It is.
Yeah.
You just kind of say, which one is one of my least favorite sayings all the time. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just hate that, but that's where we are. So I, bring it back to these guys coming up, and it's like, okay, well, are you going to wreck guys because of the losing? I don't know. I think that it's kind of like, okay, well, this is what they were last year. They were the worst team of all time. I guess you kind of are expected, and you can go out there and maybe kind of be free to just kind of, again, be a little bit of selfish about yourself, be selfish about your development, and kind of go out there and get yours. I mean, I don't want players to always be, I want it to be about the team and doing what you can to make the guy next to you better. But this is the time for these kids to come up and just, I guess, again, like I said, maybe just go out there and get yours and prove, what kind of player you are. Because when you look around the locker room, you're not going to be playing with a lot of these guys going forward very long.
No, you're really not. And that brings up a name like Tim Elko, who's got 9 home runs now in 23 games with Charlotte, and, first baseman, can I think play a few other positions. He definitely a taller man than Andrew Vaughn, which is what a lot of people sometimes give Vaughn some crap for, like he can really do anything about it. But the Sox did know kind of what they were getting in with a 5'10" first baseman, but he was Golden Spikes. He was going to be a masher. He was going to be a hitter.
Is diminutive too strong of a word to say for an Andrew
for
Vaughn?
his position, which is potentially like a bigger, you want a bigger frame person at first base. So Tim Elko kind of, a lot of people are calling for, well, why is he sitting there in Charlotte? Get Tim Elko up. The Vaughn experiment is done in my mind. Mm-hmm. And I get it. The Sox aren't going anywhere. So why not just let Tim Elko continue to mash, get more at bats? But unless you're saying he's not ready yet, he needs more seasoning, and you don't want to rush somebody too soon, where then you do break him, which might have happened, with some of the players that we've seen in the last, 4 to 5 years. Oscar Colas, I don't know if you can put him in that category of kind of.
I just think he was completely mismanaged altogether. Not just the timing of when he was brought up. I think the manager had a part in that, and so did he. I mean, it wasn't like it's all on everybody else and not him, but I think everybody screwed that guy up, including himself.
Absolutely. There's a lot of fingers to point, and especially when you got to look in the mirror. But yeah, Elko, I'm just excited to see. Okay, he's smashing the ball. Obviously, Charlotte's got a different type of stadium with what he's going to see at the big league levels, but why not? Unless he just absolutely is not ready, and he needs some more time, and why rush him in a season like this? But might as well get some eyes on it, Tim Elko, now, right? So you can kind of go into maybe your off season of saying, okay, we had a pretty decent sample size from Tim Elko at the big league level. Now we kind of know what we've got. Do we think he can develop? Did we like what we saw? Is this something that we're going to invest in the off season, or do we need to start looking elsewhere? Because you're done with Vaughn as your first baseman. Now, the question I have for you, Pat, and I don't know if Elko is necessarily really forcing the organization's hand right now, but was there a prospect? It's all kind of a blur to me, but was there a player, 2017, 2018, 2019 or beyond, that really forced the organization's hand? Where we're like, man, this guy is just mashing in AAA. Get this guy up right now. I cannot wait to see this guy. Maybe my memory is just really, it's not serving me well, but I don't remember a guy that was like, he's killing it in AAA. And so he forced the organization's hand. It just felt more of, okay, he had enough time at AAA. Like, now he's ready.
Yeah. I just always remember when Han was here. Han was seemingly very disciplined to the number of at bats that guys got at certain levels, and he would talk a lot. And I've said this before on this show. He would talk a lot about the see how they do, and then they fail at whatever level they're at. Let them fail at that level, and then see how they respond to the failure before you start bringing guys up. It's almost a process that I can understand a little bit better from the Han era, if you will. I don't know if that was a Kenny Williams philosophy as well, but I know Han had it, and again, not that it produced a whole lot of winning for us or anything, but it's a process that I think I would adhere more to rather than let's just, because when I say, and I've said it before, now, so don't get me wrong, I've said, hey, get this guy up. I want to see him. I want to see him play, because you and I, as a fan, I want to see him play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And see what the hubbub is all about, right? But I'd almost rather guys be more patient with guys and keep them down, and really let them build themselves up so there's much of a polished product when they do get up here. Then let's get them up here and continue to work out some things while they're at this level, because as you're working things out, then you're, I think, extremely vulnerable. And then you're going to have more failure, and it's going to be harder to dig yourself out of that failure. So I don't know what the right answer is, Nick, but I think it's more of a, let's set a level at number of at bats. Let's kind of monitor when that time is, when they're in slumps, and how they come out of it and how they respond to it, rather than this guy's mashing. They forced our hand. Let's bring him up.
Yeah, I see that. You don't want to scare off a player and put them in a situation where they just weren't prepared for it, and it was unnecessary, and it affects them. But at some point, it's like wet is wet, if that makes sense. Like it is, it's just nothing's going to change, because if he's getting complacent in AAA and he's seeing and he's able to handle this maybe inferior pitching or whatever it may be, it's like, well, how much more do you need to see him mash of inferior pitching, perhaps? Greg mentioned the strikeout rate, which I would agree, and I've heard that too, and that seems to be a common problem with a lot of Sox prospects and a lot of players coming up. I just want to see a prospect get enough at bats this season, somebody that's ready, just so we know. What do you have, and can there be in season development, which is very difficult to do, I know, but I just don't want to go into the offseason and be like, well, I didn't, Elko got like a handful. I'm sure he'll get more than that. Like, it's going to happen eventually. But we know Andrew Vaughn's not the guy. That was something I was watching for at the beginning of the season, is like, maybe he is going to just look so much better, and maybe something is finally going to click. So since we're moving on from him, at least I am as a fan, I'm just ready selfishly for that next person up. And I want to start seeing what they can do. And I'm not even saying like, oh, I can't wait. Like, it's not like Elko's going to be a savior, or all of a sudden this team is going to turn around. I just want to see, okay, do we have something here? And if it's too early for that conversation, then okay, I'll wait. I'll wait another month or whatever that is, 3 weeks. And then tell me, okay, now Elko's in a good spot where this is going to, he's going to be set up for success, and he's going to be able to give you, a true analyzation, if you will, of his talents. Okay, I'll wait for that. That's fine. I just want to see what we have here, moving forward.
Yeah, I get it. selfishly, I want to see it too. But I can't anyway. So maybe that's why. I'm just saying, let's keep them down. I can't.
Well, you're going to be able to hear DJ wax on about it.
Oh Lord! I might have to start writing down DJ quotes of the week, because there was a good one today that I.
Do you feel you've been listening now to a lot of radio, and DJ's been at it for a long time? I think he might have came in 2000 once Wimpy left.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Hawk and DJ in the TV booth in 2000. I want to say 2001. And then when did DJ jump to radio? Oh, after Rooney left and after the 05 season?
Oh boy, that's a good question.
Oh, it was Farmer, and was it Chris Singleton? It was Farmer and somebody else before DJ, but DJ's been at it for a long time in the radio booth.
He has been at it for a long time. He said there was an A's. I don't remember who it was for the A's today. Who had a foul ball off himself, and they said, "Oh, it looks like it got him maybe in the hand." And then they watched the replay, and unfortunately, it got him right in the groin area. And then DJ said, "Well, while you have a moment, I'll read this quick promo." And he reads the promo for the Dick Allen bobblehead.
Yeah.
And he's saying the promo, and he long pause on the word Dick.
Oh boy! Oh, DJ!
As somebody just got hit in the groin area. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
And I think Len was taken aback by what was
DJ stepping out a little bit.
He was stepping out. He was stepping out. Yeah, he was. That made me laugh today. That was my DJ quote of the week.
I want to get to remind me about Len Casper, because there's a segment I want to get to in a little bit here that kind of features a Len Casper type person and him calling White Sox games. I'll make more sense of it in a little bit. But do you think DJ has gotten better?
I think DJ is fine.
Or is he that is who he is, and we just kind of have to.
Yeah, he says some. I say some odd things once in a while, and I think he's trying to be just himself. But he's just an odd bird sometimes, that DJ.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that Dick Allen bobblehead game that is coming up. That's Saturday. May 3rd. So we're just days away.
Are you going to be at that game?
I will be at that game. I will be there. I'll be there nice and early, and I will secure the bobblehead and see a couple innings until.
How many innings do you think you'll stay for?
I could see myself staying for like 3 or 4, and then it's like, well, my little guy, my son, it'll just be like, okay. That was good. That was a good experience. We got there early. He got to, go up to the kid zone. We got some food, walked around, and then it's like, all right, we're about done here.
Well, I think that's probably the way to go. You get just enough, and then you get on in the car, beat the traffic for the hundreds of fans that'll be there, and it'll be a nice little day for you.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. We'll listen to DJ and Len on the way home, and that's just, I know going in, that's how it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
We might not even be at our seats very long. You know how it is with a little kid. You will have good intentions, and then you just have to completely remove yourself of all of that and just be flexible. But
will you please, because I know at some point you're going to need to use the washroom, will you let me know if the
I will keep you updated.
Situation in the bathrooms has improved since I policed it from opening day and started accosting people that didn't know how to properly line up at a urinal.
Yeah, I will absolutely keep you updated on that. These bobbleheads this year, it's limited, man. Now this one is 21 and older because it's a Benny's sponsor, which again, since it's 21 and older, I don't know why you didn't put the cigarette in his mouth. with him juggling baseballs. Just put the cigarette in his mouth. You're trying to mimic the Sports Illustrated cover. And not only is it interesting because he was juggling, because he was ripping a heater in the dugout, and just if it's 21 and older, just do it. I don't understand. But anyway, I think it's only the first 15,000 or something. So
you got that made in the shade with lemonade, baby boy.
I've got it down to a science. I know exactly how to play this game. So it'll be. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a pretty nice day. But I'll keep you updated on that bathroom situation.
That's all I really care about. I don't care about prospects or when people come up and how many at bats they have. I want to know if people have figured out the damn bathroom yet.
Speaking of figuring things out, it's way too early to analyze Chris Getz, right? Yeah, I saw some stuff on social media, and I heard some people kind of chirping about, is Chris Getz any good? Does he know what he's doing? I don't have a lot of faith in Chris Getz. I mean, we talked a lot about this when he was first hired and brought in. Sure, it was different. Sure, it's refreshing that, but I don't think much of Chris Getz, and I really don't think I've seen anything that he's done that is terribly wow, he really, what an interesting, I mean, I guess Shane Smith, that's to be able to, but it's more people than just Chris Getz. I think the jury still has got to be out on Chris Getz, but the big opportunity that he's had with Crochet and with Cease, and maybe it'll happen with Robert Jr. I mean, those are the ones. I think the Cease one is just really unfortunate. Yeah. I don't see much happening with that. The Crochet one, we still got to wait and see what this Teal guy is all about. Obviously, Majdroth are hurt now, but I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth analyzing that whole Getz situation.
I don't know if it is either, Nick, to be honest with you. And I guess you'd have to. I think the jury will come to the judge with a verdict in 2 years, and it doesn't mean that this team will be good or contending in 2 years. They just have to do what you were looking for earlier when we were talking, is have a direction. Like, is there now a clear direction and path towards? Has there been enough steps made to where now you're not really the laughing stock? Now the system is producing players, and you've been able to flip guys for other needs. Like, that's when can you see the car starting to back out of the driveway and drive down the road? They're not on the highway yet. They're not letting the horses run and merging and going 85 miles an hour. But is the car backed up out of the driveway, and is it moving in a forward position? And that's what I'm looking for right now. So
you're saying
the car's in the garage. Right now, the car's in the garage.
So what are you saying?
Some people might be starting that car in the garage and praying for death.
Hold on a second here. I'm trying to wrap my brain around. Is success a division title, World Series? Is it going 85 miles an hour down a highway? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't drive that fast. I mean, a lot of people drive fast, but
that's Kramer.
85 for me.
That's our friend Kramer, who back in Kramer's heyday, a friend of ours who's actually named Kramer. When he was like 16, 17, 18, and I'd be in the car with him, at the speed that he was going on the Stevenson, bobbing in and out of traffic, it was, there was a lot of anxiety.
Something sort of horrifying, or
slightly horrifying, because he's all about trying to make good time back then. And if you challenge,
when you're late, generally to everything you've ever done, yes, you have to make it up in some way.
And he tried, man. He absolutely tried. So if success for the Sox are going 85 miles an hour down a highway, comfortably bobbing in and out, making good time, we're saying right now, well, we don't know how far the house is from the highway, but we're saying that the garage door is not even open yet.
It may be the car is in the driveway. Maybe it's currently stuck in the ditch in the front yard. It hasn't left the residence, however you want to define it.
Oh boy. Yeah, that'd be a shame if they ended up getting stuck in a ditch in their own property, trying to leave said property. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a little too early in that situation with Getz, but I'm not, I'm not thrilled at all. What I've seen so far, it's just like, I don't even know if it's worth talking about it. I don't have any expectations from him because I didn't think he was the right hire in the whole process, but I think he needs to be able to have another season or so, another off season to see what is he going to do? Because I don't know. I don't know what identity this team has. They've said a lot of what they want to do. They've said what kind of team they want to be, but we don't see that yet.
Well, I mean, I guess we're just judging him, or we have a little bit of a, premeditated, decision made on him because of what he did in his previous role, which was a player development, right? Director, or he was the head of it. He was in charge of player development.
Yeah.
And players generally didn't develop well in this organization. So right now, I'm a little bit, he's got to come a long way for me, because what he did previously wasn't a resounding success. He's not really qualified for this role, I don't think, as it is. And he was only brought in because that was the easy path.
Yes.
It was the I don't want to interview people. Here's a guy right here who's been here a long time, former player. I love that. Loyal to the organization. You got some Royals juice to you. Come on over, brother. We got you. So to me, he's starting in a fan's eyes. You're kind of still looking at him with a little bit of the raised eyebrow.
Mm-hmm. Skeptical for sure. Speaking of skeptical, you mentioned Len Casper, which obviously he still feels like a Cubs broadcaster to me.
Okay.
It's tough. I will be honest with you. It's tough to still listen to Len Casper and not think Chicago Cubs. And the reason why I brought this up, and there's so many others that we can talk about. I mean, Steve Stone. Do you start? I mean, I kind of still think of Steve Stone as a Cubs analyst, even though he's probably been with the Sox more than he was with the Cubs.
That could be true. Point. Yeah.
But I'm on social media and I looking at, just some things. Vinny Duber. I haven't heard of Vinny Duber for a while. After the CHGO situation, you didn't hear from Vinny Duber, and I really liked Vinny Duber, and I thought he was a pro, and it seemed like he had some passion and, some White Sox passion to him. He's with kind of the organization for a while with NBC Sports Chicago, writing and doing stuff, with Chuck every now and then, or McGuffey, and then he went to CHGO and did White Sox stuff there. Well, he pops up recently, and maybe he's been doing this for a little while, and I just didn't see it. But I'm seeing that he's writing for the Sun-Times, which is great. I'm glad he's back covering sports, which I know he loves. But he's writing for the Cubs. He's covering the Chicago Cubs, and I find it so bizarre seeing Vinny Duber writing posts and getting excited about Cubs stuff. It's just really strange to me. And I remember when Dan Hayes, he was with the Sox for a while and then he left and went for the Twins. And I'm like, how can you take him serious?
Yeah.
He was for the Sox for so long. Benetti, lifelong Sox fan, calling games for the Sox. He's with the Tigers now. If you knew his backstory as a Tigers fan, could you say, oh yeah, I could really believe he's into, it's the believable thing. Do you struggle with that, Pat, as a fan? Do you struggle with the believability of a writer or an analyst or a play-by-play or whatever that, man, I know that you're not really a fan of this team, or you're with another team for a long period of time. I'm still judging you a bit.
I don't struggle with it as much as maybe you do, Nick. Just
clearly as I have issues.
I understand your point 100%, but you also have to remember, all people in sports media and in sports in general, athletes too, they grew up probably rooting for a different team than the team that they're playing for or working for. So it's really just a job, right? For us, it's our passion. For these people, most of them, it's just a great opportunity and a great gig. So I'm like gone, or there just aren't many. Maybe from a color commentary standpoint, right? Those are usually ex-ball players. They usually give those jobs to ex-ball players
really
or people in broadcasting.
That's really unfair.
But yeah, but for the play-by-play folks or the beat people or those kind of people, I really don't have an issue what they did on their last career or last job. Stop.
What if somebody paid you money to do like Locked On Cubs? Could you do that?
How much money? I mean, really, I'll be honest with you. How much money? I mean, if I could do a daily podcast for a half hour on the Chicago Cubs and fake it for a half hour and get paid a really handsome salary, I probably would find a way to be able to do it.
Wow. I'm fascinated by that.
Really?
I don't think I could accept that position.
$300,000 a year.
Okay. Well, this is just all fictional, right?
Yeah.
So
it's.
I would just really struggle, because people, especially at this stage, the amount of Sox that I have done, the amount of White Sox conversation and content over the years that I've done, and I'm going to go on and pretend I'm a true blue Cubs fan, trying to really sell it that I'm in it with you guys, that I'm passionate about this team. I find that that'd be really difficult.
Do you really have to sell it as you're a true blue fan though? Or are you you can play the straight man, the straight journalistic person and say that here's the facts, ma'am. Here's what happened last night.
But people don't want that. I mean, that's they can get that anywhere.
Somebody's paying me. They must like me for something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, listen.
Yeah, I hear you.
You get a great job in broadcasting, and they're going to pay you handsomely. And I can tell my lovely wife that she doesn't have to be a teacher anymore. Yeah, sure.
Oh, Pat.
Did I just break your heart?
I'm.
Am I selling out for money?
You kind of are.
That's exactly the definition of selling out.
Oh boy, yeah.
It doesn't change my heart. Money doesn't change your heart. It just changes your budget.
It's tough. Here's the issue that I maybe you can do this. I find it very difficult to compartmentalize. It's tough for me to play. I can't be Batman is what I'm trying to say to you. Like I can't. It's tough for me.
You can be Batman. You are Batman.
It would be tough for me to play those disguises and live a lie in a way.
So I'm a two-face. So
I mean, look, everybody's got a price. Ted DiBiase said it, and you would have a price. It sounds like it's $300,000.
That's where the start would be. Yes,
for you to be a White Sox or a Chicago Cubs podcaster. All right,
I think that's reasonable.
I mean that is a handsome amount to sell your soul and be a passionate Cubs fan all of a sudden.
Why would I never said it? Why would nobody? Is it in the job description that I have to be a passionate Cubs fan?
I'm now saying it's in the description.
I couldn't do it because I don't care. It's my heart isn't in it.
Somebody's just saying, hey, I need you to read the stats about a Cubs game. Well, yeah, anybody can do that, but you have to really sell it, man. You got to if anybody's going to tune in, they've got to feel that you are a diehard Chicago Cubs fan.
All right. Well, apparently we've determined I have zero character, and I'll do anything for money.
Oh boy, Greg Miller is on it in the chat today. A great Seinfeld reference. B-O-Z-O, Bozo the Clown. So I don't know Bozo. It's just a gig. It's not my life. Oh boy, that was a great episode.
That was a great episode. Vince, was it Vince Vaughn? No.
It was Favreau. John Favreau. Yeah.
Great cameo.
Yeah. All right. Well, up next for our White Sox, Milwaukee, and then Houston. Of course, the Dick Allen bobblehead game on May 3rd. Hope to see some people out at the stadium. I'll only be there for like 3 or 4 innings. After I get...
talk about character. Big Sox fan over here.
No one's paying me. If someone paid me, I'd make sure I saw every single pitch and was at every single.
You're just in it for the bobblehead. I'm in.
Well, I've made no secret of that.
Cash, baby.
Made no secret of that. Before we get our quote of the week, want to thank everybody so much for being back with us on Sunday night here on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Subscribe, pass it along to other Sox fans in your life. It really means a ton. Really appreciate everybody jumping in tonight. You can find the audio absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts, and we're on social media at Good Guys TB. So here is your quote of the week. I got 2 of them. This is from Edgar Caro. This was after Saturday's big win in Sacramento against the Athletics. We're playing really good baseball, Sox catcher Edgar Caro said. Our pitching is throwing a lot of good baseball. The hitters are doing really good too, taking good at bats. I think we're playing really good. It's just that baseball is hard. Sometimes we don't get the W. I think that's kind of maybe that's a healthy approach. I would say, Pat, is, and you got to take it from some of these players. If they feel like things are going well, it's just they're playing better teams, they're just getting beat, then I guess what can you say?
Yeah. I guess right now it's not about the result, and it's about like I said, the individual improvements and just trying to get better on a day in and day out basis until the results actually do come. So,
yeah.
But baseball equals hard. So
it is. John, this is from Jonathan Cannon. This is your second and last quote of the week. We really do have a great group of guys, and you can just see the progress in everyone. Everyone's kind of taking steps forward, and we're playing clean baseball. So, I mean, look, if they're happy with what's going on and there's some positivity and they see, some growth, and, you're not going to see it in the wins, but there's other things, some intangibles, some stuff behind the scenes, so to speak, that is healthy. Okay, that's great. That makes me maybe feel a little bit better about the direction.
Sounds like these guys are about to go on a run.
They got an off day on Monday, and then it's Milwaukee, and then Houston. I feel good. I feel like this could be maybe a 2-win week. Dare I say maybe 3? Is that too much?
Okay.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Like crazy.
Bozo. Right. Let's go.
All right. Folks, thank you so much once again for being with us. We will get with you next week here on Good Guys Talk Back. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.